I'm Corbitt with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, December the 1st, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is the fast-acting, small dose, easy to use, short withdrawal, made in North America, effective telithromycin injection with a reasonable upfront price. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri, they always have big sales. They're expecting 6,000 head here today on Monday. They're going to be starting at 7 o'clock a.m. Don't forget, this Thursday, December the 4th, Joplin is having a special value-added sale. There'll be lots of long-time weaned calves, and they'll be all vaccinated. They've got a protocol there, and people have been saving their calves for this sale for quite a long time. It'll be a nice offering. They'll be selling more uniform, more black, larger bunches for the most part. It'll be quite a sale there at Joplin Regional Stockyards. You can view and bid that sale at DVAuction.com. Holiday volatility. Of course, volatility has been the norm here as we've been coming off the highs and you know, just jacking back and forth around, and it's just been crazy. Well, we had more during the Thanksgiving holiday. The board turned around big. You know, it was headed south in a big way. It turned around big the day before Thanksgiving, and then again on Friday after Thanksgiving. And if you haven't been paying attention, it's not the bearish stinker that we had early last week. So you got to get with the times. You might need more money if you're going out to try to buy calves early this week. They haven't got completely back up there, but quite a bit. I tell you what, they were having sales up in the northern plains. I'm going to tell you guys all about them at the end of the report, like I always do. But selling calves up in the northern plains late last week, like on Friday and Saturday, just dang near as high as we've ever sold them. You know, it's funny, there's so much demand out there. People want cattle. People want calves. They're wanting calves to background. They're wanting to get those calves bought before the end of the year. They're wanting to buy replacement stock. They're definitely wanting to get those bought before the end of the year. Cattle producers are almost as bad as row crop farmers when it comes to having to spend that money or give it to the government. So that they want to get it invested. But I tell you what, it was sure a big turnaround, and I almost couldn't believe it what was going on there late in the week. But you had 2 days on either side of the Thanksgiving holiday where the board was up near limit gains, especially on feeder cattle. Not so much on live cattle, but big gains on live cattle too. So it'll be interesting to see. These sales coming out early this week on Monday here, they're going to be sharply higher than the last sale that they had. So just be prepared for that. I'm unsure where all that push came from. You know, some people think it might have come from the visit that Secretary Rollins had on the Lonesome Lands podcast. I listened to it. I didn't see a whole lot of bullishness there. She did say that she said the border is going to open up for imports of Mexican cattle at some point. She said it's not if, but when. Well, we knew that. But she also said that it's going to be very slow to open. Maybe they saw some bullishness in that. It's going to be very slow to open, and it's going to start on the westernmost import locations there out in Arizona. So maybe people found that. Maybe a couple of people found some bullishness in that, and then they started buying, and then the algorithms took over. Maybe that's how it happened. But it's a whole different world on this side of the holiday than it was on the pre-side of the holiday. I'm just going to warn you now, but it's good. I tell you what, for these producers have been holding cattle, waiting until it's more consistently cold to sell them, which it's normally when they sell the best. It also turned winter over the Thanksgiving holiday. Had a lot of big snows up in the Midwest and places. really frigid temperatures up in the northern plains, even some cold temperatures down here in the southern plains. It was like 18 degrees in the Texas Panhandle on Sunday morning, which that's the coldest we've been so far this winter. But I tell you what, it's going to be a lot easier to straighten up these cattle now. It's killed a lot of these airborne illnesses, and you guys have been trying to straighten up new purchases. We'll find that as a blessing, and a lot of the calves you're buying are going to be longer weaned, which that helps a bunch too. But it's just going to get better here from now on out, guys. You know, here in the Amarillo area, the Amarillo Farm and Ranch Show is a big deal. I tell you what, a lot of people attend it from a long ways away, and they're expecting to have another big crowd here early this week as they have the 2025 session of the Amarillo Farm and Ranch Show. On Wednesday, they're going to be having Amarillo Cattlemen's Roundtable event put on by the Texas A&M Ag Life Extension Service there. I'm going to be involved in that. I'm going to be on an industry panel there talking about commercial cattle industry issues, whatever that comes up. They've got a distinguished fellow there that's going to be monitoring it. They've got several very distinguished, more distinguished than me by far, folks that are going to be on that round table, and it sure might be putting your interest into. That's going to be on Wednesday, December the 3rd at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then later, Temple Grandin is going to be the keynote speaker, and I do think they've got a dinner involved in that too. So pretty nice event there. You might want to check it out. I want to tell you about the sale that's coming up here next weekend. T. Hart Ranches, that's the El Cross Ranch and La Garita, Colorado. And they're going to be having the high altitude female sale, guys. It's on the El Cross Ranch there. It's going to be Saturday, December the 6th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. They're going to have Angus and Sim Angus replacement heifers mostly. They also have some bred cows on there too. They're all pap tested. They stand behind all that. They've been doing this for a long time. They're going to be offered in large lots. So when they sell those lots, I mean, you can buy a load or more, or a load or two of bred heifers or bred cows there, but they're going to be offering the whole load, or you can take 5 head or more gate cut. So it makes it fair for the smaller producers or the big guys that want to get a big slug of those heifers and young cows that's all been kept together. But that is going to be quite a deal there. So be thinking about the T. Hart sale coming up this Saturday, December the 6th. Another sale you want to keep in mind later this week is Red Dock Farms Red Hot Female Sale. That's going to be Thursday, December the 1st. Or no, not December the 1st. It's going to be Thursday, December the 4th, I guess. So be thinking about that. December the 4th. They've got lots of open heifers there, young bred cows there. They've got everything you would need. They've got 140 or more really fancy, efficient, and functional, low input, high performance Santa Gertrudis influenced females. Now, some of you guys may be missing out on that, but these Santa Gertrudis, they made them for a reason, I tell you what. And the Sanchez family down there in Belen, New Mexico, they have perfected this. They've got lots and lots of experience in it, and that is not a place where those females are going to be spoiled or are going to fall apart on you. They're going to be used to dry weather, used to drought type conditions going on all the time, but you want to be sure and check out that Red Hot Female Sale here Thursday, December the 4th, and actually they're going to be starting, it's not going to be a live sale. It's going to be taking bids. You can bid online. It's going to be going from December the 1st through December the 4th. That's where I got messed up. So now I'm straight. It's a timed online sale. They're going to open up the bidding December the 1st, and it's going to stay open until December the 4th, and that is going to close the bidding. Get in there, bid what you feel comfortable with on those females, and then keep tabs on that sale to make sure you don't get outbid on them, or you can keep put in there and jacking it back up. But you want to get some of those Santa Gertrudis females, guys. Let's talk about your board for last week. December live cattle futures. Monday was down 7 1/4, the full limit. That was a week ago. Last Monday, your live cattle futures for December were down the limit, 7 1/4. Tuesday, all of a sudden it pepped back up. They were only down 20. Then Wednesday, they were up $4.02. Of course, we had Thanksgiving on Thursday. Friday, December live cattle were up $4.55. So then they were at $215.57 to end the week. Your February contracts ended at $217.85. January feeder cattle started out last Monday down 9 1/4, the full limit. We thought the world was coming to an end. But Tuesday they come back up 210. Wednesday up 805. Thursday was Thanksgiving. Friday up 885, with January feeder cattle ending the week at 323.97. March contracts ending at 317.85. Your grains, March corn ended the week at 447 3/4. Beans for January ended at 1137 3/4. And hard red winter wheat for March ended the week at 527.5 last week. Very volatile. Your fat cattle trade last week up through Thursday, which is the last thing we have actually confirmed there for the week. We've got a few Friday sales. They'll get the full roundup here on Monday, and I'll give it to you on the next visit. But they'd sold 39,400 head of negotiated cash sales in your 5-area feeding region up through Thursday afternoon last week. Your live sales of fat steers and heifers were only 207 to 210. That was $3 to $14 lower. Up through Thursday, your weighted average on live steers was 209.34. That was down $8.07 compared to the previous week's weighted average. But that was just through Thursday. Things turned around. Now, your dress sales ranged from $325 to $330. That was $7 to $17 lower on the trend. Your weighted average on dress steers, $329.38, down $13.98. But that was up through Thursday. Friday, it's a whole new ball game. Iowa sold 1,000 head on Friday, 14,100 head for the week, and the live price was $215. Much better. Whoa, what all of a sudden got into them? Packers come out Friday immediately bidding $215. And I think it got better than that late. We're going to find out when they get the whole thing wrapped up there. I believe we got up to $218 in the northern plains in the Midwest. But we'll get the final results on our next visit. Nebraska didn't have any confirmed sales. I know they had some confirmed sales on Friday from like 215 to 218, but didn't get anything confirmed through USDA. Before that, they had sold 23,500 for the week. Kansas sold 3,200 on Friday, 3,350 for the week. Your live price in Kansas on Friday ranged from 216 to 220 and a half. Lots of 220. So that was a lot better than what we thought it was going to be. Texas sold 2,000 head on Friday, 4,600 for the week, and the live price ranged from 215 to mostly 220. So it's completely changed, guys, than it was before Thanksgiving. Box beef cutout values were lower last week. Choice cuts, your weighted average on all of last week's choice cuts, 368.92, down 235. By late Friday, it was 366.82, so still down a little more than $2 from that weighted average. Your weighted average on all of last week's select cuts, 350, 450. That was down 69 cents from the previous week's weighted average. By late Friday, that quote was 350, 105, so $3.50 less than the weighted average. So under some pressure here, and post-holiday, we expect some of that pressure, guys. Your choice select spread on the weighted average was $14.42. All that based on 593 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings, guys. Your slaughter for last week with the holiday in there was only 501,000 estimated cattle slaughter, 84,000 less than the previous week, which didn't have a holiday in it, but still 32,000 less than the same week a year ago, which was also a holiday week. So that's pretty close to what we've been running about, lighter. Talk about what else is going on. Virginia Cattlemen's Association is a good outfit. They have been promoting Virginia cattle and supporting Virginia cattlemen since 1944. If you live in that area, you need to become a member if you're not already a member. They have been aiding their producers in marketing all along. Still doing that, guys. They support the Virginia Quality Assurance Program, which has minimum requirements there and has a good reputation for so people can outside the industry or outside the immediate location there could be interested in those cattle too. They do have an app that's very interesting, and you guys can find out all about their sales and everything that's going on with the Virginia Cattlemen's Association. Just go to VA Cattle and search for that. But for more information, go to vacattlemen.org. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index from DVAuction ended the week last week at 319.30 based on an 800-pound cash auction steer. That was tough. That was $17.19 lower than the previous week's weighted average. So lost about $20 last week there. We'd lost about $20 there a week or two before. And from the high we were at to the low we got to, we were about $40 off on most of your feeder cattle, probably 60 to 80 on a lot of your calves. But like I said, this has gotten all better. Your steer tracker, which was the last 25 lots of 5 head or more that go in the RTI, was all the way up to 340, 339. So there just wasn't enough of them to pull that weighted average up, guys. But that's a lot better. Your most recent CME cash feeder cattle index was from all the way back the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and it was sitting at 329.88. Hadn't even realized all the loss, and now we're back up on the upside, guys. I want to tell you about another sale that's happening here today. It's at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. You know, they have a 2-day sale, cows on Monday, feeders and calves on Tuesday. But here on Cow Day at Beaver, Oklahoma, included in their cow run is going to be some replacements, including selling at high noon. They're going to have 100 fancy as you can imagine bred heifers, guys. They're going to sell 70 of them that were AI'd on April the 26th, 30 of them that were bull bred at May the 1st. They're going to come off the Adams Ranch, which is at Forgan, Oklahoma, just north of there, guys. That is a closed herd, 100 years of genetic experience. Their cattle are highly influenced by Gardner genetics, guys. So check out those fancy bred heifers selling at noon at Beaver County Stockyards. You can view and bid at DVAuction.com. Let's talk about what happened last week. We couldn't get really a good trend because there was not very many sales. They just had a few sales late last week. They were kind of specials, and they were special. So we don't really know. It's gonna be a few days this week till we can get a handle back on the market to see what's really going on. But at Burwell, Nebraska on Friday, right after Thanksgiving, they had 3,800 head. That is the DV Auction broadcasted barn there. the Federal State Market Reporter did not call a report on there. That's very disappointing that they did not. They punted the trend, but I looked at your automated market report. Even though the previous week's offering was not nearly as large as the one on Friday for their special, it was still a lot of your steer weights on bigger calves and light feeders $20 to $30 higher than what it was the previous week, which we can imagine because I've been telling you how just everything, moods changed and everything just whipped around. It was a very impressive sale, guys. It was your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard livestock handling equipment, stick out sale of the day. Check out this automated market report from Cattle Market Central, and you look at your best tested weights at Burwell Special on Friday there, and these are very impressive quotes, guys. There were 576 head of 5-weight steers in Burwell. They averaged 553 pounds at 433.33. 672 head of the 6-weight steers averaged 646 at 404.45. 498 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 738 at 364.07 on the weighted average. Look at your heifers. There were 192 head of the 4-weight heifers. They averaged 459 pounds with a weighted average price of $420.96. 341 head of the 5-weight heifers averaged 547 at $388.65. 302 head of the 6-weight heifers averaged 635 at $368.20. 212 head of the 7-weight heifers averaged 721 at $324.27. And these were preg-checked open heifers, yearling heifers, guys. 160 weighed 834 on the average, bring $300.73 on the weighted average price, and 306 checked open heifers there averaged 972, weighted average price of $300.33. All that's very impressive, but the most impressive individual quote I saw out of Burwell was 92 steers weighed 766 and bring 374. Yeah, that's like it was before we had the crash, guys. Some other individual quotes that I saw late last week or around the holiday and over the weekend. St. Ann, South Dakota on Saturday had a big cow sale. They included 70 young bred cows come into the barn there and bring $51.50 per head. Wow. How about Eastern Missouri Commission Company in Bowling Green, Missouri? That's just north of St. Louis over on the eastern side of the state. They had close to 10 inches of snow overnight the night before, and this was on Saturday. They had some fancy bred heifers there at their special bred cow sale. The bred heifers bring from $4,050 to $4,900, and there were lots of them. Had a few fancy bred heifers up to $5,900. Wow. How about some yearling quotes there? Winter, South Dakota. They had a big sale on Friday last week. Winter Livestock Auction in Winter, South Dakota sold 52 steers, weighed 920, guys, at $347. Wow, that's $25 higher than we could have sold them right before Thanksgiving, guys. Big time sale there at Winter, South Dakota. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend in your Macrocin No BS top quote of the day, come out of Erickson Spalding Livestock Market in Erickson, Nebraska. It was on Saturday. There were 83 of the Hoffman Ranch steers. They weighed 674 and bring 419. That's as high as we ever sold them, guys. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.